Ethan had always believed that life was something that simply happened to people. Some people were lucky, some were not. Some were born talented, some were not. Some were rich, some were poor. That was just how the world worked, he thought. He grew up hearing phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," "Be happy with what you have," and "Dreams are for rich people." These sentences had quietly shaped the walls around his mind, walls he never realized were there. He lived in a small room with a single dim bulb hanging from the ceiling. At night, when the city outside went silent, Ethan would lie awake thinking about why some people seemed to rise in life while others stayed in the same place forever. He wasn't jealous, he was curious. He would watch videos online of millionaires sharing their journeys, motivational speakers talking about mindset, and entrepreneurs explaining their habits. And every time he watched, a tiny spark inside him ignited. But the moment the video ended, doubt returned. "People like me can't become rich," he would whisper to himself. Still, the spark inside him refused to die. One evening, Ethan stood near the window watching the lights flicker across the skyline. He imagined himself in one of those tall buildings, wearing a suit, confident, successful. He imagined helping his parents, giving them a home they always dreamed of. He imagined waking up every day with purpose instead of fear. The dream felt warm, powerful, alive. But then he remembered his reality. A low-paying job. No financial stability. English skills not strong. No mentor. No direction. He sighed deeply. But something unusual happened the next morning. On his way to work, Ethan noticed an old bookstore he had never entered before. On the door hung a small sign. "Your mind is the key. Open it." Something pulled him toward the door. He stepped inside. The shop smelled like old paper and forgotten dreams. Soft music played, and books were stacked everywhere in messy towers. Behind the counter sat an old man with silver hair, glasses resting at the edge of his nose. Without looking up, the man said, "People who come in here are either lost or ready to be found." Ethan froze. "Sorry, what?" Now the old man looked at him. His eyes were sharp, as if they could see through Ethan's thoughts. "You're searching for something," he said, "but you don't know what it is yet." Ethan felt exposed. I just came to look." "No one just looks in this shop," the man replied. "Books choose people, not the other way around." The old man reached behind him and picked up a dusty brown book. No title, no author name. He placed it gently in Ethan's hands. Ethan looked confused. "What is this?" The old man smiled mysteriously. "A book about thinking like rich people. Not about money. About mindset." Ethan's heart thumped. "I don't have much money to buy books right now." The old man shook his head. "It's free for those who are ready." "Ready for what?" Ethan asked. "To change," the man whispered. Ethan stared at the book. Something felt special about it, as if it carried more than words, maybe truths he needed to hear. He thanked the old man and walked out, holding the book like a treasure. That night, after finishing his shift, he sat in his small room and opened the first page. There was only one sentence written in bold, handwritten letters. "The poor think with fear. The rich think with possibilities." Ethan read the sentence again and again. It felt like someone had slapped him awake. He turned the page. "Your life is a reflection of your thoughts. If you think small, your life stays small." Ethan's mind flashed with memories. Every moment he doubted himself, every time he told himself he couldn't, every time he assumed life was against him. He realized he had been living in a mental prison without even knowing it. He kept reading. "Rich people don't avoid challenges. They look for them. Poor mindset avoids responsibility. Rich mindset seeks growth." Ethan leaned back. For the first time in years, he felt something shifting inside him, clarity. He continued reading late into the night. The next morning, Ethan woke with a strange energy. On his way to work, he smiled at people, walked confidently, and even greeted the supervisor who usually made him nervous. For some reason, he felt lighter. At work, he noticed things he had never paid attention to before: how inefficient the system was, how communication gaps slowed everything down, how customers complained but management ignored improvements. A thought popped into his mind. Rich mindset looks for opportunities, not excuses. He suddenly realized there were opportunities everywhere. He had simply never trained his mind to see them. At lunch break, he opened the book again. Another handwritten line greeted him. If you want to think like rich people, don't focus on what you lack. Focus on what you can create. That line stayed with him the whole day. When he returned home, he felt an urge to take action. He took a notebook and wrote, "I will improve my English. I will grow my mindset. I will increase my value. I will create opportunities, not wait for them. I will not think like a poor man again." But one problem still haunted him. How do rich people actually think differently from everyone else? He whispered. The book seemed to hear his question. He flipped the page. Rich mindset invests in learning. Poor mindset escapes into entertainment. Ethan stared at these words for a long time. He realized how many hours he wasted scrolling on his phone, watching random videos, dreaming without action. He felt a sting of guilt, but also a spark of courage. That night, Ethan deleted apps that wasted his time. He kept only the ones he needed. He felt like he had taken a small but powerful step. The next day, Ethan returned to the bookstore. The old man smiled without looking surprised. "You read the book?" "Yes," Ethan replied. "But I still want to learn more. How do rich people think differently? I want to change my mindset." The old man nodded slowly. "You're asking the right questions." Then he said something that would change Ethan's life forever. Rich people don't wait for the world to give them permission. They give themselves permission. Ethan felt something inside him unlock. "But how do I start?" he asked. The old man leaned closer. "You start by changing your relationship with yourself. Your thoughts, your habits, your language. Money doesn't come first. Mindset does." Then he pointed to Ethan's chest. "The richest place in the world is your mind. Most people die poor because they never explore it." Those words hit Ethan like a storm. The old man stood up. "Come tomorrow. I will teach you more." And so began Ethan's transformation. He woke early the next morning, excited. On the way to the bookstore, he noticed things he had never paid attention to. People rushing, advertisements promising easy success, friends complaining about life, workers blaming the economy. He realized how much negativity surrounded the world. But he remembered a line from the book. Rich mindset protects the mind. Poor mindset allows negativity to grow roots. When he reached the bookstore, the old man was waiting. "Today," the old man said, "we begin with the foundation of all rich thinking." "What foundation?" Ethan asked. The old man raised one finger. "Self-belief." And so Ethan's first real lesson began. The lesson on self-belief began simply. The old man handed Ethan a clean notebook. "Every day," he said, "you will write one statement that you truly believe about yourself. Not what you wish were true. What you believe is possible. Write it in present tense." Ethan was puzzled. "Like, I am rich?" The old man shook his head. "No, not I am rich. Rich people don't start with money. They start with mindset. I am capable of solving problems. I am learning every day. I create opportunities." Statements like that. Ethan nodded slowly, unsure but curious. That night in his small room he wrote, "I am capable of learning new things quickly. I am disciplined with my time. I see opportunities where others see problems. I am growing every day. As he wrote, he noticed something strange. The act of writing felt powerful. It wasn't magic, but it sparked a sense of responsibility. Writing made his thoughts more real. The next morning, he walked to work differently. Normally, he would drag his feet, mind clouded with worry. Today, he felt alert, purposeful. At work, a customer complained about a delayed order. Usually, Ethan would panic or feel helpless. Today, he thought, problem equals opportunity. He calmly spoke to the manager, suggested a solution, and the problem was resolved. The manager, surprised, nodded in approval. Ethan felt a small spark of pride. After work, he rushed to the bookstore. The old man smiled knowingly. You see, he said, mindset is not just words. It changes your actions, and actions change your life. Ethan listened intently as the old man continued. Rich people focus on solutions. Poor mindset focuses on problems. Notice the difference. Ethan repeated the sentence in his mind. He realized how often he had complained instead of acting. How often he had blamed circumstances instead of looking for ways forward. Over the next few days, Ethan's routine began to shift. He woke up early, reviewed his statements, and read another section of the mysterious book. Each page carried a lesson. Time is your most valuable asset. Spend it wisely. Learn to invest in yourself before you invest in anything else. Surround yourself with people who inspire, not drain you. He started noticing his old habits. Watching endless videos for entertainment. Complaining to friends. Wasting hours scrolling social media. Each realization was uncomfortable, but he embraced it. He cut out distractions. He started reading books on mindset, finance, and communication. He practiced English every day, recording himself speaking, writing essays, and correcting mistakes. Each improvement, no matter how small, felt like fuel. One evening, Ethan's friend Jake called. Bro, come hang out. Let's play games. Ethan hesitated. He wanted to, but then he remembered the lesson. Rich mindset protects the mind. He politely declined. Not today, Jake. I have work to do. Jake laughed. You're turning into a boring nerd. Ethan smiled, but inside he felt proud. Choosing growth over entertainment felt strange, yet right. Days turned into weeks. Ethan noticed changes at work too. He became more confident speaking to clients. He suggested small improvements that saved time. People started noticing. His manager even commented, Ethan, you're improving fast. Keep it up. One night, as he reviewed his notebook, Ethan realized he had written 100 positive statements in a month. He felt stronger, more capable. The words weren't just sentences anymore, they were guiding actions. The old man's lessons grew deeper. Rich people see opportunities in every situation. Poor mindset sees obstacles. Which will you choose? Ethan thought about his life. Unpaid bills, limited income, uncertain future. But suddenly he didn't feel trapped. He felt resourceful. He began identifying small business ideas he could pursue, skills he could develop, people he could connect with. For the first time, he felt hopeful with a plan. One lesson in particular stayed with him. You are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. Choose wisely. Ethan looked at his circle of friends. Most were unmotivated, complaining, avoiding responsibility. He realized he needed to meet people who shared his ambition. He started attending free workshops, online webinars, and local networking events. It was uncomfortable at first. He felt out of place. But he reminded himself, comfort is the enemy of growth. At a financial literacy seminar, he met Rachel, a young entrepreneur. She had started a small business online and was earning steadily. Ethan listened to her story, fascinated. They exchanged ideas. She shared tips on managing time, saving money, and thinking strategically. Ethan realized something crucial: rich people don't just think, they act. He started implementing what he learned. Small investments, side hustles, learning market trends. He tracked his progress daily. The numbers were small at first, but each step built confidence. Meanwhile, his English improved dramatically. He could communicate more clearly, pitch ideas, and even write proposals. His self-belief and competence began to show externally. People trusted him more. Doors that once seemed closed started to open. One evening he returned to the bookstore. The old man smiled. "You've come far," he said. "But do you understand the essence of thinking like rich people?" Ethan paused. "It's mindset, opportunities, action, responsibility?" The old man nodded. "Yes. But remember, thinking rich is not about showing off or wealth. It's about clarity, discipline, and creating value. Richness starts inside you." Ethan reflected. He realized he had been chasing money without understanding its purpose. Now he saw that wealth was a byproduct of growth, learning, and adding value. From that day forward, Ethan's focus shifted entirely. He committed fully to his mindset, his skills, and his vision. Each day was deliberate, purposeful, and aligned with his new philosophy. He still faced failures, but he no longer feared them. Every setback was an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow. The most profound lesson of all came quietly. One morning when Ethan woke early, wrote his statements, and looked at his reflection in the mirror. The richest person in the world is the one who controls their mind, not their bank account. Ethan smiled. He knew he was no longer the same person who had entered the bookstore weeks ago. Something powerful had changed: his thinking, his beliefs, and his actions. He had started to think like a rich person, and that, he realized, was the greatest wealth of all. Ethan's life had begun to change, but the real test was just ahead. Growth felt good, yet he knew deep down that thinking like a rich person meant facing challenges most would avoid. One morning, as he reviewed his notebook, he realized he needed to take bigger risks if he wanted bigger results. The old man's words echoed in his mind. Rich people embrace calculated risk. Poor mindset avoids it, clinging to comfort. Ethan decided it was time. He had saved some money from side hustles and small freelance projects. Not much, but enough to invest in something that could expand his skills and income. He researched relentlessly: small businesses, digital marketing, and online services. Each day brought new ideas, new insights, and new doubts. His first real challenge arrived when he attempted to start a small e-commerce project. He had never done anything like it before. Suppliers, logistics, marketing, customer service, it was overwhelming. He could have easily quit, but he remembered the mindset lessons. Obstacles are opportunities. Fear is a compass pointing to growth. So he pushed forward, learning every step. When a supplier sent defective products, he solved the problem instead of complaining. When a customer demanded a refund, he handled it politely and professionally. With each challenge, his confidence and skills grew. Meanwhile, Ethan continued improving his English. He started posting content online. Short articles, video clips explaining his learning journey, even small tips about mindset and personal growth. Slowly, he began to attract a following. People appreciated his clear communication, practical advice, and authenticity. His audience encouraged him, which reinforced his belief in the value of sharing knowledge. One afternoon, Ethan attended a local seminar on entrepreneurship. The speaker asked a question: "Who here is willing to risk everything to grow?" Ethan raised his hand without hesitation. He realized he no longer feared judgment. Fear no longer controlled his actions. The speaker smiled and said, "Good. The world only rewards those who act despite fear." On the way home, Ethan reflected on how far he had come. A few months ago, he had been timid, afraid of failure, unsure of his own abilities. Now he actively sought challenges. He had developed resilience, discipline, and a growing understanding of how the wealthy think. But a new lesson awaited him. The old man at the bookstore introduced him to strategic thinking, a crucial skill for anyone wanting to create real wealth. Rich people think long-term. Poor mindset thinks short-term gratification. Which will you choose? Ethan nodded. He realized he had been reactive for much of his life, reacting to problems, reacting to circumstances. He needed to become proactive, thinking steps ahead, anticipating challenges, and planning his actions. He began mapping out his future in detail, where he wanted to be in 1 year, 3 years, and 10 years. Every goal was accompanied by a plan with actionable steps, deadlines, and measures for progress. Ethan started delegating small tasks for his e-commerce project. He learned that thinking like a rich person didn't mean doing everything alone. It meant leveraging resources effectively. He hired a virtual assistant, used free online tools for efficiency, and focused his energy on high-value actions. At the same time, he expanded his network. He reached out to mentors, joined professional groups, and asked questions without shame. His English fluency allowed him to communicate confidently, opening doors that would have remained closed months ago. One day a setback occurred. A competitor copied his product design and undercut his prices. Most people would panic, give up, or blame the world. Ethan paused, remembering another line from the old man's book. Rich mindset sees competition as a chance to innovate, not a threat to fear. He analyzed the situation carefully, improved his product quality, enhanced his marketing, and found unique ways to add value that competitors could not match. Within weeks, his sales not only recovered, they increased. That moment marked a turning point. Ethan realized he was no longer just surviving. He was thriving. His mindset was transforming reality. One evening, while updating his notebook, he paused to reflect. I face challenges. I learn from failures. I seek opportunities, not excuses. I invest in myself. I think ahead. I create value. These weren't just words. They were principles guiding his life. He smiled, realizing that he had internalized the lessons. The final lesson came quietly in the form of a simple realization. Wealth is a mindset first, a bank account second. Money follows action, discipline, creativity, and value creation. Ethan understood that thinking like rich people was not about arrogance, expensive clothes, or flashy cars. It was about mastery over the mind, clarity of vision, purposeful actions, and a commitment to growth. Within a year, Ethan's income had multiplied several times. His English was fluent, his network strong, and his confidence unshakable. He was no longer the timid young man watching life from the sidelines. He was an active participant, shaping his future. He returned to the bookstore to thank the old man. The shop was empty, books stacked high, but no sign of the man. On the counter, a note read, "The journey was yours. The lessons were here to awaken your potential. Keep thinking like a rich person, and the world will keep rewarding you." Ethan smiled, closing the notebook he carried everywhere. He knew this was only the beginning. His mind, now rich with ideas, focus, and vision, would continue to guide him. And as he walked out into the bustling city, he felt truly alive. Ethan had come far. In less than a year, he had transformed his life. His mindset, his actions, his skills, and even his confidence had all grown exponentially. Yet, he knew the ultimate test of thinking like a rich person was not in small wins. It was in facing a challenge that could either break him or launch him higher. The opportunity arrived unexpectedly. A large investor, impressed by Ethan's small business growth, offered him a chance to scale his operation nationwide. It was everything Ethan had dreamed of: money, recognition, and influence, But the risk was enormous. One wrong decision could cost him everything. For the first time, fear crept in. Ethan felt the familiar tug of doubt whispering, "Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you'll fail." He closed his eyes and remembered the lessons from the old man in the book. Rich mindset faces fear, poor mindset avoids it. Success is a result of calculated risk and persistent action. Your mind is the richest asset you own. Ethan took a deep breath and made a decision. He would take the opportunity, but with full preparation, planning, and discipline. He spent weeks analyzing the market, studying competitors, and mapping a detailed strategy. He refined his product line, built a strong team, and implemented systems to handle scale. Every decision reflected the mindset he had developed: long-term thinking, value creation, and strategic action. The first month was tough. Mistakes were made, deals fell through, and stress mounted. But Ethan's mindset kept him steady. He treated every setback as feedback, every obstacle as a lesson. His English communication skills allowed him to negotiate effectively, pitch ideas convincingly, and inspire his team. Slowly but surely, results began to appear. Customers loved his products, sales grew steadily, and the investor was impressed with his professionalism. Ethan realized that thinking like a rich person was no longer a theory, it was now his reality. But the most important transformation was internal. Ethan noticed how he reacted to life's challenges. Before, he would have panicked, blamed circumstances, or given up. Now he remained calm, proactive, and solution-focused. He understood that true wealth begins in the mind, not in the bank account. Ethan also remembered the lessons about giving back. He began mentoring younger entrepreneurs, sharing his experiences and mindset strategies. He realized that wealth was not just about accumulation, it was about creating impact. Every person he helped grow was a reflection of his own growth. One day, as he reflected in his office overlooking the city skyline, Ethan wrote a note to himself in his trusted notebook. "I face fear with courage. I act with purpose. I create value every day. I learn continuously. I inspire others while growing myself. My mind is my wealth." He smiled, knowing these were not just words. They were his principles, his habits, his reality. Months later, Ethan attended a high-profile conference for young entrepreneurs. A speaker asked, "What is the secret to success?" Ethan raised his hand and shared his journey. Success is not about luck, money, or connections. It's about how you think, how you act, and how you grow. If you train your mind to see possibilities, embrace challenges, and create value, the world will reward you. Wealth follows mindset, not the other way around. The audience applauded. Some took notes, some nodded thoughtfully. Ethan realized that thinking like a rich person was now his identity. Even as his business grew, his mindset remained grounded. He did not get distracted by material things. He continued learning, continued mentoring, and continued improving himself. Years later, Ethan reflected on his journey. From a timid, insecure young man to a confident, successful entrepreneur, the transformation had been profound. The difference was simple yet powerful. He learned to think like rich people. He often remembered the old man in the mysterious bookstore. He never saw the man again, but his lessons lived on in Ethan. He had discovered the ultimate truth. Wealth is not what you have. Wealth is what you think, how you act, and the value you create. Ethan smiled as he looked at the city below, a city of endless opportunities. He knew life would continue to challenge him, but he was ready. His mind, rich with ideas, discipline, and clarity, was now his greatest asset. And as he walked confidently through the streets, he whispered to himself, "I think like a rich person. And now nothing can stop me."